Good morning and welcome back to Move with Joe. Today is day 7 of our morning mindset and awareness series. It's going to be a great lesson today. We're going to try and integrate a number of the previous lessons in terms of the movement of the spine, the neck, shoulders, and arms. So to begin, let's lie down on our back. And begin by sensing how the ground comes up to support you. You can tune into your breath. You can just tune into any mental thoughts that might be occurring. And notice the weight across your back. Which scapula is more pressed into the floor? Which shoulder is floating a little higher than the other? How much of your rib cage is in contact with the floor? And notice, where is the weight of your head coming down? Is the weight of your head slightly tilted to the left or to the right? And which way would be more readily available for you to roll your head? So if you'd like, you could just roll your head back and forth. Just notice the initial ease one direction versus the other. Good. And then place one hand, bring one hand so that the fingertips are pointing up towards your head. It's just about a foot or so off of your chest. You could imagine that there was a glass plate that was dividing your whole body lengthwise. And so you press the hand up against that glass plate, just lightly, just so it's barely touching. And then begin to slide the hand up towards your head and then come back. And just make this movement a number of times. Each time you can go a little farther, only to where it's comfortable. All right. You go one more time. Good. Lower that one down. And bring your left hand up to the glass plate. And slowly begin to bring this hand a little up and down towards your head and away from your head. And notice where you organize yourself to make this movement. Where do you initiate the movement from? All right, great. So now please come on up to sitting. You can cross your legs in whichever fashion you'd like. If this is uncomfortable for you, you can also sit in a chair or use a bolster to elevate your sit bones. So in sitting, go ahead and take your right hand, place it out in front of you, and again, slowly start to bring it up and just see where you can get to. Moving very slowly, right in the mid-plane. How far can you go before you feel the first amount of restriction? So it's not cheating and coming out here and just so you can get up to the top, but bringing your hands straight to midline, pretty much right in line with your nose. Moving very slowly, straight up that line. How far can you go before the first moment of restriction? So for me, I really start to feel the first level of restriction right there. All right. Go ahead and bring your left hand up, and we'll just do the same thing with the left hand. And notice the quality of the movement in the left. Where do you get to before you hit a restriction? All right. So for most of you, you'll notice a difference between one and the other. Now, please bring both hands together just so that they're touching. So there's no need for excessive tone or tension. We're so used to overusing and overexerting. Just enough so it's lightly touching. And slowly begin to take both hands up towards the ceiling and then back down. And again, just notice, where do they go comfortably? Where's the first amount of resistance? And you can begin to bring your attention into your scapula. As you bring your arms up, which direction do your scapula go? And as you bring your arms down, where do your scapula go? For those of you that aren't familiar with the scapula, it's the big bony plate on the back of your shoulder here. So do that a few more times. And notice, what do you do with your breath? So have you coordinated your breath to the movement? Is your breath free of the movement? Are there points in the movement that you begin to hold your breath? When we hold our breath, it's often an indicator of some type of strain or restriction or sense of falling. All right, give that a break. Relax the arms for a moment. Go ahead and take a couple breaths in here. And as you inhale, I want you to take a nice deep breath, and you can bring your attention to breathing all the way down into your belly. And exhale. Okay, good. Bring the hands back together. And once again, we'll begin to slide the hands up towards the ceiling. Nice light pressure, just barely touching. And as you slide the hands up towards the ceiling, you'll begin to take your eyes with your hands. So you track the movement of the hands with the eyes up towards the ceiling and come back down. All right, give that a rest. You can go ahead and roll your shoulders a little bit, both clockwise and counterclockwise, or forward and back. All right, good. So bring the hands together. And this time, we're going to begin to bring the hands up and right, and we're going to track them with our eyes. We're going to come back to center, and then we're going to go up to the left. So we lengthen up to one direction, come back, bow to the center, and extend up the other direction. So you're following the movement of the hands with the eyes, rounding as you come down, extending as you go up, rounding as you come down, extending as you go up. And notice, how do you distribute the weight across your sit bones as you make this movement? How do your ribs start to get involved? And as you go from side to side, how do you shift weight from your one sit bone to the next? Do you bring the weight into the sit bone you're turning towards, or do you keep it in the opposite sit bone? All right, give that a rest. Go ahead and lie down your back for a moment. And notice the quality of your breath now. And notice if there's been any subtle change in your relationship to the floor. So in the beginning, I asked you which scapula had more weight into the floor. And I asked you which shoulder might be a little bit higher. And so see if there's a little bit more of a distribution of tones, that it's maybe a little less clear in terms of where which one has more weight. Maybe one side's heavier now than the other. Maybe there's a sense of the ground becoming a little softer, a little friendlier. And notice where the weight of your head is now. Has that shifted at all? All right, come on back up to sitting. Legs crossed. And this time, we're going to bring the hands together. And as you bring your hands up and to the right, you're going to bow your head down. So the head goes down as the hand comes up. And then as you come back to center, the head comes up as the hands go down. And then as you go to the left, the hands come up, the head goes down. So you're taking the head the opposite direction of the hands. And again, notice how you begin to shift weight with this movement. What changes? How does this change the ease of lifting the arms? Or maybe it makes it more difficult to lift the arms. And how do you roll across your sit bones as you make this movement? All right, good. Let that relax. All right, so now bring your hands back together. And this time as you take the hands to the left, you're going to turn your head to the right. And then bring them both back to the center, and then take the hands to the right and the head to the left. So you begin to go in opposite directions with the hands and the head. And notice how you distribute this movement now. So as you make this movement, how do you distribute the tone and the effort across the whole of yourself? How do you roll over your sit bones? All right, good. Let that rest. All right, so we're going to come up one leg in front. We're going to stand on the left leg, right leg can be in front. And so from here, you need to find your balance and begin to come up, bring the arms straight up, come back down. And start off small and just find that sense of balance, that stability. And you can begin to notice where you have your weight distributed. And so you're just trying to make the movement as smooth as you can. And then slowly begin to bring the arm out to the right. Look up towards the ceiling and come back down. Tracking the hands with your eyes. Come back down. And then if you'd like, you can take it out to the left, up and left, and then across, over to the right. So you're just maintaining this ease, this quality of the movement. Going into a little bit of flexion on the way down, extending up through the arms, up through the eyes. Good. All right. Go ahead and bring both knees together. Now we'll do the same movement. Bring the hands together. Begin to flex up towards the ceiling. And if you'd like, you can begin to start doing a little bit of extension farther back, lengthening, lifting, looking up at the hands, And on the way down, you can start to fold into your hips. So just a little bit initially, come back up, extend. Begin to fold into yourself. Each time you can go a little deeper. Extend. Very good. Keep coming down. Extend. All right, excellent. So come onto your back one more time. Take a moment to sense the support of the floor. Notice the distribution of weight across your back. You may notice that there's more contact with the ribs. You may notice as you inhale, there's more of the rib cage, more of the low back in contact with the floor. You may have a sense of the shoulders softening or melting into the floor. Maybe they're not quite as high or elevated off the floor as they were when we began. Notice the quality of your breath. Notice the composure within yourself right now. The sense of wholeness. All right, so come up to sitting. And let's go back to that reference movement that we did at the beginning. So begin to take the right hand again to the midline. Slowly begin to lift the arm now and just see where it gets to comfortably. And it's been quite the improvement here for me. And just notice what's changed. What's changed with the movement. For me, I can start to feel a lot more of the whole of myself involved with this movement, whereas initially it was more coming from the shoulder. There's more engagement through the rib cage, the spine, the head and neck. Go ahead and bring the left hand up and see what the length is, the ease of the movement, the quality of the movement is now. All right. And then let's have you come up to standing. All right. So take a moment. You can just sense the weight in your feet, how you have the weight distributed across your feet. Notice which heel has more weight in it. Notice if you're slightly shifted to the left or to the right. So bring your attention into your upper body and just notice the relationship of your shoulders to your pelvis, the relationship of your head to the top of your spine. And notice if you have any more sense of maybe openness in the shoulders. So we've been working on activating all these deep extensor muscles of the back and then also rounding forward. So we again began to play around with this relationship of the extensor muscles in the back and the flexor muscles in the front. And so as we were lifting the arm up, we were engaging all those deep extensor muscles and then playing around with the rotation of the spine when we were going opposite directions and same direction. So in general, most people will feel a sense of being taller, being more stacked on top of their legs. And so from a movement perspective and from an alignment perspective, we want our weight so that ideally our ankles, knees, and hips are relatively stacked on top of each other. And our rib cage and torso and shoulder girdle and head and neck are all stacked over top of our pelvis. Begin to sense the weight distribution forward, back, side to side. And where is it as you tilt back and forth from your ankle joints? Where do you feel the majority of the weight coming straight down into your ankle joints? And so therefore, that weight going down, there's an equal and opposite ground reaction force coming up. And so that force coming up is coming straight, ideally straight up through our skeleton. And there is where we have the maximum potency. So the more skeletal support we have, the less our musculature has to hold us upright. If I begin to fall over here, now my back is engaged holding me up. Now my toes are gripping against the floor. But if I let go of that, if I find that center point, now all that has rested. So most people are not all the way out here, but most people do have some sort of collapse, some rounding, some compression. And so we end up holding more tension than we need. So this movie series is really about developing the awareness to start asking yourself these questions of how do I find better support from myself? How do I find better support from the surface that I'm on? And how do I leverage that? How do I leverage my skeleton to move more efficiently? How can I distribute the tone through my whole body so I don't have to work as hard? And how do I become more fluid and graceful in the movements that I do? So this work is really a practice. And although we're done the 7 days here, you can continue to refine and play around with these lessons, and there'll be more to come. Also, I have weekly ongoing classes. You can check that out on my website. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Throw a comment in the comment box. Let me know what you're interested in learning next, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks.